Happy Hump Day, my friends, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And on today's episode of Prime, we're going to give you our fantasy football rankings for week number 3. Izzy, how did fantasy go for you this week?
I went 1-2. I got absolutely trounced in our league. I think the guy went up against had like 148 points on me.
Did you get beat by my sister?
That might have been your sister.
Yeah,
That might have
that's
been
tough.
your sister.
That's tough.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Her team was flame right last week, man.
Thank you very much, my Aunt Judy, for liking the podcast. She's probably going to be disappointed. No Izzy intro. Little Izzy intro this week. But we'll get through it.
You know what? But she will be happy that I before this show, I told little Izzy, you better sit down and do your dang homework. So books first, Aunt Judy. Books first.
Books first. We gotta get the books. Let's get into these fantasy football rankings for week number 3. I'm of course David On Point Huppin. Right there is Israel Rivera. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Let's talk about the Rock throwers, and I got Joe freaking Burrow as my number 1 quarterback. I know he hasn't been that good. I understand. But I think this is going to be a get-right game for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going up against a not great Jacksonville Jaguar team. Yeah, a Washington Commander team who has a terrible, terrible defense. Give me Joe Burrow as my number 1 quarterback. Looking for him to bounce back in a big way. 2, I got Josh Allen going up against on Monday night as well, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. CJ Stroud, I've just been really impressed with what I've seen out of him this season so far. 4, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I think he could have a bounce back game too, but I haven't been really impressed with what I've seen out of Lamar Jackson so far this season. And we'll see what Dallas team is showing up this week. On the defensive side. Brock Purdy at number 5, bounce back game for him as well. 6, Baker Mayfield. It's hard not to really talk about how good Baker Mayfield's been this season so far, especially throwing the football. And then 7, Patrick Mahomes. A little bit lower on Patrick Mahomes than normal, but I just the Atlanta Falcons have a good defense, and I think they're going to give him fits. 8, Jalen Hurts. 9, Jaden Daniels. As long as he continues to run, he's going to have a steady fantasy value. And then I got Derek Carr in my top 10. The dude has been incredible at the quarterback position so far this season. He's had 15 straight drives resulting in points. I don't think that's ever been done. And then my outside looking in, I got Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, and then I'm still riding with Caleb Williams. I think this is his best chance to really bounce back in a big way against just a kind of mediocre defense for the Indianapolis Colts. Caleb Williams, number 13. Not a lot of great quarterback matchups this week. It was really a difficult week to rank quarterbacks for real, especially since the state of the quarterback position right now has just been kind of meh. After this most recent weekend, there's like 7. Quarterbacks in the NFL so far have thrown 17 less touchdowns than he did at this time last season. 17. Like that's a lot.
That's pretty drastic right there, sir.
And like quarterbacks we're not seeing the gaudy quarterback numbers that we were expecting to see that we've seen over the last couple of seasons. Like we've seen very timid, modest numbers. I mean, quarterbacks are throwing for. I'm not even sure. Like Josh Allen hasn't thrown for 200 yards yet this season. Like that just blows my mind.
That's incredible. That just shows you the versatility of some of these defenses. Bringing in, whether that's, through the draft, because in the draft in the last couple of years, we've had some good cornerbacks, some good DB drafts.
And I also think it's because the offensive line play across the NFL has been just not that good this season.
Not that good. No, not that good. And the fact that, pass rushers have evolved and they're just downright more athletic than some of these offensive tackles that are getting put out there.
It's also the other thing, so the offensive linemen, we're not seeing a lot of pro style offensive linemen coming into the NFL. And so there's a transition period that where they have to kind of break, because we're seeing a lot of spread offense in college football. You don't see that in the NFL. You don't see a lot I think the quarterback position is just down right now. I don't know how long it's going to stay like this, but this was a tough week to rank quarterbacks. And then I got Gardner Minshew at 5,300 as my sneaky and daily, going up against the Carolina Panthers. Roll the dice.
Definitely roll the dice on Gardner Minshew against the Carolina Panthers. They're in shambles. Yeah, starting at my number one, I got Josh Allen. That's just automatic. I think Josh Allen's on another level this year, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. His rushing ability puts him at number one at all times. At number two, golly. At number two, I got Lamar Jackson going up against the Dallas Cowboys. We saw what Derek Carr could do. We saw, how physical offensive line did against that smaller, kind of defensive line in a way that Dallas has in the interior. Give me Lamar Jackson, and I like Derrick Henry this week as well, but we'll get to that. And then I like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was just running around the world last week. I like that matchup again, with him and Detroit. This week. And then I got Jalen Hurts and then Joe Burrow rounding out my top five for all the reasons that you said. Joe Burrow going up against a pretty horrible Washington secondary. He should be able to expose that. I think it's a little bit of a get back game as well after dropping that close one against Kansas City. And then I got Derek Carr at number 6. Keep it going for the New Orleans Saints. I do like the fact that team is pretty much on pace. I mean, the offense looks really good. They're running the ball. Alvin Kamara's looking like a big time threat again out of the passing situations, getting Chris Olave open. He's got a bevy of weapons. And then Patrick Mahomes, a little lower on Patrick Mahomes than normal. Don't like the way he's come out, and we saw it because of the lack of weapons. Right, you only got Rashee Rice's. Your main wide receiver. All those other guys are kind of untested. I know Xavier Worthy had a good first week, but those were on like sweeps and those are on like end arounds and little kind of gadgety kind of plays. And I know he did get open for one touchdown. And then obviously Travis Kelce, his age is showing this year. And then I got CJ Stroud. I love what I saw out of CJ Stroud. Well, I would say this. I'm not too that they got to get those kinks working in Diggs, but I like the CJ Stroud, Nico Collins connection. Once they get Dalton Schultz back, kind of healthy and going again. I don't know what the deal is with Joe Mixon. I think he'll be okay. But that offense should be humming. Should be one of the best offenses. They're going against Minnesota, who showed up a little bit last week with that defense. And then I got Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield. Like you said, man, can't talk about top 10 rankings without including Baker Mayfield in it, going up against Denver. Going to be a little bit tough. I mean, Denver's offense is terrible, but like defensively, Denver has a solid defense. And especially like, Patrick Surtain's going to be back there, against, either Chris Godwin or I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mike Evans, but they still have a really good secondary defensive base. So it's going to be a little bit tough sledding for Baker Mayfield, but they are playing at home. So that's a plus. And I'm outside looking in. I got Jared Goff, Anthony Richardson going up against the Chicago Bears, and Jaden Daniels. I like what I've seen out of Jaden Daniels. If they can start, scoring in the red, like in terms of like touchdowns in the red zones, I mean, Jaden Daniels would be money. But they just haven't figured out how to score touchdowns in the red zone. As we saw, they booted the ball 6 times, seven times, yeah. And then my cheap option in FanDuel, I got Justin Fields at 6,700. With Justin Fields, I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over at all this year. They been kind of a run heavy. They kind of have put him in positions to to be successful. He's got some plays taken back, a touchdown or two taken back just because of a penalty. Either it's a pass interference or a holding penalty. But I do like Justin Fields in this game against the Los Angeles Chargers, especially at home. I do like them to run the football. I like Justin Fields to get a touchdown on the ground this week. So
moving on from the pass throwers to the rock toters, running backs. Number 1, go for it, man.
Yeah, number 1, man. I got Saquon Barkley. Even though he dropped that pass last week, I mean, he's been pretty amazing. I know Alvin Kamara and James Cook had the weeks that they had was pretty remarkable, but Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to be a consistent, 14, 15 points a game every week. Same thing with Bijan Robinson. I like what I saw to Bijan Robinson. He had over 90 yards rushing. He had 25 yards catching. That's good enough to get you, 13, 14, 15 points. That's all you can ask for your running back if they don't score touchdowns. They score touchdowns. I mean, that's elite. Now you're getting in the 20 range, right? Alvin Kamara is at number 3. He had an excellent game. I mean, he looks like he's ready to, out to prove something this year. Brees Lightning Hall, I call him Money, but Brees Hall going up against New England. He's a little bit down on my list. He's still top 5. That New England defense has been playing pretty solid this year. And then I run on my top 5. I got Jordan Mason going up against the Los Angeles Rams. No Christian McCaffrey, obviously, till who knows when. So Jordan Mason looks like the guy.
At least another month.
Yeah, another month. Yeah, October. So Jordan Mason looks like, I mean, he ran over 100 yards again last week. So expect him to have a good game against the Los Angeles Rams. Number 6, I got Josh Jacobs going against the Tennessee Titans. Until they're going to be run heavy. The Green Bay Packers moving forward. Josh Jacobs has an incredible ceiling right now while Jordan Love is out. At number 7, I got Devon Achane. He moves up a little bit in the rankings too, just because they're going to lean heavily a little bit on the run game as well, with no Tua Tagovailoa out with the concussion. So I like Devon Achane, and he's pretty much the main back there with Mostert out and everything going down in Miami. And then at number 8, I got Jonathan Taylor going up against the Chicago Bears. I mean, he's just a tough runner, and even though the Green Bay Packers defense was playing well, that he still got his chunk plays on them. I don't expect as many chunk plays, in the run game against Chicago's defense as I do with Green Bay's defense, but it all depends on how long that Chicago Bears defense is going to be on the field, right? If they're tired, they're getting worn down, Jonathan Taylor, I can expect him to get a couple chunk plays. James Cook, like what I saw out of James Cook, it looks like Buffalo has them, a 3-down back down there. He's going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're at home. I love that matchup for him. I still think they're going to get him involved heavily, especially in the run.
He's coming off a 3-touchdown game when he went up against the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. So yeah, expect him to get the rock.
Absolutely. And then round out my top 10, I got Derrick Henry going against the Dallas Cowboys. I think the consensus is that around the league, you got to use Derrick Henry. I think the Baltimore Ravens have heard all the noise, and I think they'll utilize Derrick Henry a lot. And plus, also, Alvin Kamara just ripped them for three touchdowns last week. So 4 touchdowns last week. Thank you, Dave. So Derrick Henry should get that rock, especially against that defense. And now I'm outside looking, I got Jahmyr Gibbs, James Conner, and David Montgomery. Yes, 2 Detroit Lions running backs are in my top 10. I think outside looking into my top 13, I think they'll both get touchdowns this week. And then FanDuel, I have Carson Steele at 5,200. If you guys don't know who Carson Steele is, he is the fullback / backup halfback in Kansas City. He's pretty much he's been their goal line back even with Isaiah Pacheco, but now with Isaiah Pacheco going to miss significant time in Kansas City, expect Carson Steele to get the bulk of the carries in Kansas City. I like him at 5,200.
I like it. Swinging from your rankings, let's talk about my number 1. I got Jordan Mason. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on the Jordan Mason. I think as long as you got him, you might as well roll with him. But I think going up against a beat-up Rams team that'll probably be on the field, defense that'll probably be on the field a lot. Look for Jordan Mason to continue what's been a very successful run for him as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. 2, Alvin Kamara. No, I don't expect him to have 4 touchdowns again in this game, but I do think they're going to feed him the rock, and I think he's going to have a good game. New Orleans, I cannot even remember who they're playing now. Hold on a second. The Philadelphia Eagles. And we saw what Bijan Robinson did.
Bijan Robinson, yep. Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Devon Achane. Yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins are going to become a very run-heavy football team, especially with Huntley or Thompson being the starting quarterback of that football team. 4, Derrick freaking Henry at 4. We saw what Kamara did against the Cowboys. Derrick Henry is a better football player. Derrick Henry is behind a better offensive line on paper. Give me Derrick Henry to have a massive game against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. And then 5, Josh Jacobs. As long as Malik Willis is going to be the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. I expect Josh Jacobs to get fed the football. 30-plus touches for him in the week number 2. Look for similar production out of him in week number 3. 6, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he's just the only running back that the Eagles are using. He's so valuable in the passing game, in the running game. Especially in PPR leagues. 7, Bijan Robinson, same argument, only, Tyler Algier is still there, but Bijan Robinson's the game breaker, the guy that they look for. 8, Breece Hall. Yeah, New England's got a pretty solid defense, but I look for Breece Hall to have a pretty solid game. 9, Kyron Williams. Yeah, it's tough to have him this low, given how good he was last season, but he hasn't been good so far this season. But the 49ers, they haven't been great against the run so far this season. So I think it'll be interesting to see if he doesn't play good in this game. I think it'd probably be time to take Kyron Williams out of the must-start category if he's not already in that category. And then James Cook, I think he's going to have a good game there against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then my outside looking in, I got Jonathan Taylor going up against my Chicago Bears. J.K. Dobbins, who has back-to-back 100-yard games, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough matchup, but look for Dobbins to continue to be fed the rock. And then James Conner, I like that matchup for him against the Detroit Lions. And then my sneaky and dailies, Jalen Warren. For some reason, I have 3 R's in his last name. It's only 2. 5,400.
Jalen Warren.
Yeah. He came back from injury last week. Looks solid in his return. Look for him to get more involved every single week. And then D'Onta Foreman is quietly become the leading running back in the Cleveland Browns backfield. He had the most carries in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. He outpaced Jerome Ford, who's quote-unquote supposed to be the starting running back, at 4,400 for D'Onta Foreman. But yeah, I like that matchup.
Love that matchup as well. I like D'Onta Foreman in that backfield, at least until, Nick Chubb see what happens with him.
Moving on from there, let's talk about them pass catchers. And my number 1 is the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown. After a very pedestrian week number 1, he bounced back with like 11 catches in week number 2. They're going up against an Arizona Cardinals defense that's not that good. Look for Amon-Ra to have a really good game. And then 2, Jamar Chase. I think this is finally going to be his get-right game against the Washington Commanders. Should have a pretty good output there. 3, Mike Evans. I know that Patrick Surtain is there, but I just think Mike Evans is going to get in the end zone. 4, Nico Collins. Yeah, he's just been awesome so far this season. 5, CeeDee Lamb. Dallas Cowboys are going to be looking for him. They could be down in this game as well. 6, Maserati Marv. I love what I saw out of him last week. I know he had all his yards in the first quarter, 130 yards in the first quarter. And fun fact, that's more yards than his dad ever had in one quarter. So put that in your feather.
Incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
7, DJ Moore. Yeah, I think he bounces back from I think they get into the lab. I think he bounces back from which was a pretty terrible performance there in week number 2 and 1 for that matter. 8, Justin Jefferson, a little bit lower on Justin Jefferson than normal, but I just think that's a pretty tough matchup. Minnesota going up against the Houston Texans. That defense is for real for the Houston Texans, especially in the pass rush, in the secondary as well. 9, Chris Olave. I know he's been quiet, but he's still the best wide receiver in New Orleans. It's only a matter of time before he kind of gets off on a game. 10, Devontae Adams. They're going against the Carolina Panthers. I don't need to say anything else. And then my outside looking in, DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, and Amari Cooper.
Wait, hold on. You said the Carolina Panthers are going to be a top 10 defense. So I want to hear that from you. They're going against the Carolina Panthers. No, you got to hold that L all week. Go ahead.
Amari Cooper, not my last guy outside looking. He's also not been that good this season, but I think he bounces back in a big way in week number 3. And then my sneaky and daily, I got Quentin Johnson. Kudos to him. Got his first 2 touchdowns of the season last year, matching his total from all of last year. And then Jalen Naylor for 4,400. Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. Seems to be a rapport there with Sam Darnold. So, yeah, roll the dice with Jalen Naylor. And 46 for Quentin Johnson, as I didn't mention.
Quentin Johnson, man, if they could get Quentin Johnson going, man, I think he could be a touchdown machine, especially in the red zone, but especially how athletic he is on like end arounds and sweeps and stuff like that, on screenplays as well, and on like deep post. Like he's like just a big play wide receiver. If anybody's gonna get a big play out of that guy, it's gonna be Jim Harbaugh, especially running the football in Los Angeles. So if he's any inkling, if you got him in like I don't know what round, maybe what 7th, 6th, 7th round.
Quentin Johnson went undrafted in most fantasy.
Maybe went undrafted, right? Exactly.
100%.
So yeah. So I mean, you might have a steal this year with Quentin Johnson. So love that, David, that you got Quentin Johnson as your sneaky in FanDuel. Anyways, the number one, yeah, I do agree with you. Jamar Chase is going to get that get back game. He's my number one wide receiver in fantasy this week. At number two, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was amazing last week. I expect for him to keep it going. He's been pretty much one of the most consistent wide receivers that really a lot of people don't give a lot of credit to. And I've said that before. They always mention Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, but always Amon-Ra St. Brown gets forgotten sometimes. So, you can throw Devontae Adams in there as well. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is at number two for me. At number three, CeeDee Lamb. I think they're gonna be down against Baltimore, and they're gonna have to throw the ball a lot. CeeDee Lamb's the number one guy down there in Dallas. At number four, I got Nico Collins. He's gonna go for his third 100-yard game this season. He's been flat out amazing for the Houston Texans. At number five, Justin Jefferson. Yes, he is a top five guy this week for me. The only reason, Justin Jefferson is probably a little down, not in the top three. One, injury. Two, they're going against the Houston Texans. But I still think that Sam Darnold is going to find him the ball no matter what. At number six, I got Rashee Rice. 7, Devontae Adams. 8, Maserati Marv. I love what I saw out of him last week. So, Kyler Murray's going to be looking for him. I expect him to keep it going. I expect him to have one of the best, rookie seasons this year out of all the offensive guys. At number 9, I got Chris Olave, and then round out my top 10, I got Garrett Wilson going up against the New England Patriots. I think he's good for a touchdown this week. Tomorrow plays on Thursday Night Football. Then on my outside looking in, I got Chris Godwin. I think Mike Hill. I think it's going to be tough sledding. Look, you may think that Mike Evans is going to get in the end zone. I think it's going to be a field goal. I think it might be a field goal fest. I think, it's going to be a gritty win. I got Chris Godwin, though, on my outside looking in. I think he's the one that is going to get a touchdown opposite of Mike Evans. And then Tyreek Hill. A lot of people have him outside of the rankings. I expect Tyreek Hill to get a plethora of targets this week, despite the quarterback. So I'm just gonna keep Tyreek Hill in my top 13, and then I got Zay Flowers going up against the Cowboys this week on my outside looking in. And in FanDuel, I have Britton Covey, 4,400. And if you guys don't know who Britton Covey is,
you look good on Monday Night Football. He looked good on
Monday Night Football. He did. He caught all 6 of his targets for the Philadelphia Eagles. Without AJ Brown there. I expect Britton Covey to keep it going. Without AJ Brown possibly this week, Britton Covey has some value. Why not roll the dice? Cheap option. You can load up on other positions. Britton Covey at 4,400. And then, yes, I know it's the third week in a row I'm saying Jordan Whittington's name, but I think this is the week that Jordan Whittington actually breaks out this week. There's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Puka Nacua. Somebody's got to step up. I know Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. You got Cody Parkinson as well at the tight end position. One of those guys got to catch a touchdown this week. I know it's going to be tough against the San Francisco 49ers, but they're going to be down. And they're going to throw the ball a ton. And Jordan Whittington had himself a really great preseason. So I think that Jordan Whittington at 4,600, trust me, I think this week is the week. So that's it.
Moving on from the wide receivers, let's talk about them bulkier pass catchers, them tight ends. And I'll let you go first with your tight end. I like
Number one is Brock Bowers, the rookie. He just looks like a veteran already. They're moving him all over the field, in the slot, on the end of the line. He's outside, he's inside, he's blocking, he's releasing, he's doing everything. He's even fetching the Gatorade and giving the guys Gatorade. Okay, Brock Bowers is doing everything for that team. I love him at number one. The days of Travis Kelce.
He's the number 2 scorer in fantasy so far. If he was able to he has 15 catches for 156 yards so far. If he was able to get into the end zone at any point, his value would be. And on top of that, he has 17 targets and he's caught 15 of those 17. That's production right there.
He is everything in a bag of chips. Okay. Brock Bowers is. So he is as advertised coming out of college. At number 2, I got Sam Laporta. And I was going to say the days of Travis Kelce. Well, I'll get to it. At number 3, I got Trey McBride. Number 4, George Kittle. And then at number 5, I got Travis Kelce. The days of Travis Kelce, still top 5 fantasy tight end, but the days of Travis Kelce being number 1 on this show in my rankings may be over. I said it. I said Travis Kelce would be number 1 until the end of time, until we put the gold jacket on him. But that age, David, is showing this year. He just doesn't look as fast. He just looks like he's laboring. And, I don't know, maybe his personal life, he's having a really good time with Taylor Swift. So maybe, he's just not as focused on football so far. I mean, that kind of happens when you win 3 rings.
I mean, on top of that, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs understand that, like, it's not about the regular season; it's about the playoffs, and so they're just going through the kind of the motions really right now, and like
offensively at least.
We talked about that a little, yeah.
This is the first year that the defense. This is the first year that the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs is carrying them. At number 6, I got Dalton Kincaid.
It's the second season.
Second, yeah. Well, yeah, we can say second season. All right. Really, you're gonna say the second season? Really?
Yeah. I mean,
okay. Fair enough.
Their defense carried them last season. Like they were like a middle of the pack offense last year, and their defense was in the top 5.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. You're right. Second season. But then number 6, I got Dalton Kincaid. 7, Mark Andrews. 8, Zach Ertz. He's been really productive for Washington so far with Jaden Daniels. He looks like he is Jaden Daniels' favorite target so 100%. Far this season. 100%. And then Mike Gesicki is another one. That's your guy. Yeah. Mike Gesicki looking like a top 10 tight end so far this season out of Cincinnati. I mean, he gives them at the tight end position. I think that they never had since Joe Burrow's been there, and that's an athletic tight end that could get vertical. I like Mike Gesicki as the top 10 tight end. And then rounding out my top 10, I got Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons. I think the offense is much improved, obviously, with Kirk Cousins there. They had a big win against Philadelphia. And then I'm outside looking, I got Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Likely, who dropped from number 1 in my rankings all the way down to number 12, but he's still an athletic tight end opposite of Mark Andrews. Yes, I was a little crazy for doing that last week. And then I got Cody Parkinson running on my top 13. Yes, from the Los Angeles Rams. Somebody's got to step up in the passing offense. Why not Cody Parkinson?
Why not?
Why not Cody Parkinson? I think he had 6 targets. I think he caught 6 balls last week, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if you're wrong, you fact check me on that.
I don't know. He had 5 catches. He said on the season, he said he has 5 catches for 59 yards. So he's got 10 fantasy points so far this year. He's
Cody Parkinson didn't catch anything last week. My bad. He had 1 fantasy. He was 2 for 1. Yeah, he's 1 for 2 last week. The week before that, he had 4 balls. He caught 4 balls. But anyway, somebody's got to catch up. Somebody's got to step up in that passing offense. Might as well be him. And then my cheap option in FanDuel is Luke Schoonmaker at 4,900 for the Dallas Cowboys. He's the one that he caught some balls last week for them in kind of like garbage time in a way, So
yeah. From your tight ends to mine, and I got Sam Laporta at number 1. I just think that's a good matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. I really just don't believe in that linebacking core. I think this is going to be one of those get-right games for Sam Laporta, who's just been okay so far this season. 10 total fantasy points so far this season. Not really what you expected if you took him in the first 5 rounds of your fantasy football draft. 2, George Kittle. 3, Trey McBride. And then 4, Brock Bowers, number 2 fantasy tight end in terms of in PPR formatting. He's caught 15 of his 17 targets. So, he's been awesome. 5, Kyle Pitts. He just looks like a better player with Kirk Cousins at the helm. Kudos to that. Number 6, Travis Kelce. I just think this offense for Kansas City, it just doesn't have the same kind of firepower that we're used to. And I do think that there'll be games where Travis Kelce looks incredible and looks like the Travis Kelce of old. But I think there are other games where he looks like he's past his prime. And I don't know if you can necessarily predict when those games are going to come. Number 7, I got Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz. I still believe in the talent of Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, and that Houston Texans offense. 8, Cole Kmet. I think the Bears are going to make a more concerted effort to get Cole Kmet involved in the offense. You just paid him, so give him the football. He's a good football player. 10, Mike Gesicki. Yeah, that's my guy. He was my sneaky and daily last week, and he was good for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he's in the top 6, I think, when it comes to scoring for fantasy tight ends. And then number 10, I got Mark Andrews. A little bit concerned about that Ravens offense as a whole, but I'm going to roll the dice with Mark Andrews. Then my outside looking in, I got Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, who has been really not that good this season. He's had to block a little bit more than I think people maybe projected from Dallas Goedert and the Philadelphia Eagles. And number 3, I got Hunter Henry. I think he caught 11 balls last week for the New England Patriots. He's clearly Jacoby Brissett's number 1 option. So Hunter Henry is my outside looking in number 3. And then Jonnu Smith at 3,400, sneaky and daily. If you don't know where Jonnu Smith plays now, he's on the Miami Dolphins. And when you have quarterbacks like Skylar Thompson, or you have Tyler Huntley as your quarterback, you're going to need to have that escape valve at the tight end position. Jonnu Smith should have a good game against the I forgot who they're playing.
It's all good.
Hold on. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks. So look for Jonnu Smith to have a pretty solid game there. And then my defensive rankings from there on the other side of the football, I got the Raiders at number 1 going up against Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers. Max Crosby should have a field day in that game. 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another scenario where they're just not going up against a very good football team. Denver Broncos have been terrible. 3, the Cleveland Browns. 4, New York Jets going up against the New England Patriots tomorrow night. San Francisco going up against a very, very banged up Los Angeles Rams team. And then I got outside looking in, I got the Bills going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Bears going up against a pretty dysfunctional offense in the Indianapolis Colts. And then I got the Tennessee Titans going up against the Jets offense that hasn't looked great so far this season. And then my sneaky and daily, same as yours, Chicago Bears at 2,600.
Like it. I like it. Yeah. So at number 1 for me, I got the Cleveland Browns. At number 2, I got the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to feast on the Los Angeles Rams. At number 3, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have a good matchup as well, going up against the golly, I can't even. My freaking brain is going blank here.
Who is it?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going blank here. Denver Broncos, yes, going up against the rookie quarterback. I'm over here blanking out. And then rounding out my top 5, I got hold on, I have my rankings here. Rounding out my top 5, I got the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Jets. And on my outside looking in, I got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Buffalo. We got the Las Vegas Raiders, Buffalo Bills, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then my cheap option in FanDuel, like David said, the Chicago Bears going up against the Indianapolis Colts at 3,800. Anthony Richardson threw an interception last week against the Green Bay Packers. Bears are playing at home.
He's thrown an interception every game so far this season.
Every game so far this year. But I think the Bears will turn them over again this week. And yeah, I think they're cheap at 3,800. Roll the dice on them. I think they get you 10 points this week on your roster. So.
And then before we get up out of here, as we do every single week here on Fantasy Football Weekly, we try to predict who will be the number 1 scorer in fantasy this week. Number 1 scorer in fantasy last week is, I'm not even going to ask you to try to guess who it was because it's very obvious. It's Alvin
Kamara. Yeah,
4 total touchdowns. He was 15 points better than the second highest guy in PPR scoring.
Yeah, which was either Devin Achane or James Cook, depending on what's Devin Achane.
Devin Achane, yeah.
Von Achane, yep.
29.5, 44 points for Alvin Kamara. But when it's all said and done in week number 3, who's going to be the highest scoring fantasy football player this week?
This week, I think I think who did I pick? I picked Josh. Did I pick Josh Allen 2 weeks in a row?
I think so. Yeah, I think I
I
did.
think I picked.
Yeah.
I think I picked
Well,
Josh Allen 2 weeks in a row. I'm actually gonna go with Jordan Mason versus the Los Angeles Rams. I think Jordan Mason's in for a monster game. I think he has like 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards as well against the Rams.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna go Joe Burrow.
You got him at number 1, so
yeah. I'm gonna go Joe Burrow. I think this is gonna be one of his. I think it's gonna be a get right game against the Washington Commanders. I look for him to throw for 4 touchdowns. Look for him to get over 300 yards. Even though not that many quarterbacks have thrown over 300 yards so far this season, but. I think that's how things are going to shake out in this week, with Joe Burrow being the number 1 fantasy football quarterback player when it's all said and done. And we got CM Bell who's asking us a question on Facebook. Have you guys given up on Chicago players? And I'm like, no. I had Caleb Williams in my outside looking in. I had DJ Moore in my outside looking in, or in my top 10 even. I have not given up on the Bears players yet.
Wait, yeah, Caleb Williams on your outside looking in?
Yeah, I had him at 13.
You're crazy. Anyways, you know what though? You're not crazy because I think last week what we saw with Indianapolis against Malik Willis, but although the Packers have a much better offensive line than the Chicago Bears, Malik Willis was able to get the ball out. He was able to do whatever he want. I think if the offensive line improves this week, I think Caleb Williams could be on the outside looking in. I almost put Cole Kmet in my tight end rankings, but until I could see something.
I had Cole Kmet in my rankings too. So,
I am staying away from every Chicago Bears offensive player. And then what
Bell gets go back through the show. You can see that. Yeah, we have some Bears players ranked. We haven't.
And then he said he's all off on Dolphins players taking a huge fantasy gut punch. I'm not all off on. I know you ain't wrong, but I'm not all off on Devon A-Chain.
Yeah, I think he's still gonna have some really good fantasy value. But all the pass catchers besides Jonnu Smith, I'm out. So
I got Tyreek Hill in my top 13, so I'm not all off on the Dolphins.
But yeah, this has been our fantasy football rankings for week number 3. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Y'all have a good weekend and stay safe. And look for College Football Showdown on Friday. Izzy hosts that show every Friday. I'm David Huffman. Right there is Izzy Rivera. And Izzy, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen. Just like the Indianapolis Colts are going to bring the heat on Caleb Williams this Sunday.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see you guys. See you guys next week. Have a good weekend.